the Create mod, one of the most best mods in Minecraft that exists today, and I will be sharing 5 things that you need to know before starting the Create mod. So everything is based on rotational and stress units to power your factories and machines. Now, rotational and stress can sometimes get mixed around by some people, but they are two different things. One is your capacity of how many machines you can power, and rotation is how fast the power is spinning. So you can change the rotation, but you can't change the stress. Stress is fixed. And you can check these by using a speedometer and a stressometer. So if we just place them here and make sure you are wearing goggles, we can see here that we are producing 512 stress units, but only 4 rotation per minute, so 4 RPM. And over here, we can see we're producing 8 RPM and 256 stress units. So let's talk about how you can make more RPM, because we know that we can speed up rotational power or slow down, but we can't change the stress units unless we add more ways of making power. So we can do this 2 ways. We can use cogs, or we can use rotational speed controllers. Now, it's basically saying cheap versus expensive, because you need precision mechanisms for a speed controller. I'm not going to get into that today because it's very annoying. It's that annoying in the early game. So to speed up the rotation, what we're going to do is let's do the cogs first, shall we? So I'm going to place a large cogwheel here and a small cogwheel just here. And if I get a rotational speedometer again, we can see that using a large cog and then a cog, we get double the amount. And if we use it again, we can use a casing, put that on there, and do it again. We see that we get double again. So we're now getting 16 because we had 8, we had 4, 8, and 16. But a rotation speed controller, you can change it at the top here, which is why it's more expensive. You can just select the speed, and the top is, I think it's clockwise, and then the bottom one is counterclockwise. So that is the rotational power and how you can speed it up. So you might be walking around in survival and you want to place a saw, but oh wait, you want it to face away from you because it always faces towards you. No matter what you do, it always faces towards you. So by shift right clicking, you can make it facing away. And this doesn't just work with saws, you can do it with deployers too. So if you shift, faces away from you. You might also have a situation with some depots. So I want to place a mechanical press on top. But notice if I do that, or try and do it, it just places the item on the depot. And rather than just building up, placing it like that, I can just shift right click. You can place it above without having the need to build up on the side. And by using a wrench, you can click the bottom here to change the way it's facing, which is very, very useful if the rotation isn't lined up correctly. So this also works with gearboxes. So if we just get a gearbox, rather than just crafting a vertical gearbox, you can use a wrench to change it to a vertical gearbox or just a normal gearbox. Notice if I click on this side, it rotates around this axis. And if I click it on here, it rotates around this axis. Whatever side you're clicking on with the wrench, that is the axis that it will pivot around. So if I click on here, notice how it's pivoting, the deployer is pivoting around because I'm clicking on this side. If you shift right click with a wrench, you can break the create blocks instantly. Toolboxes. They come in all colours and you can name them as well. Now these are good for storing your create items or just any item that you so wish to put in there. So if I place this toolbox down and grab a cog, for example, let's just grab 4 stacks. And that is the limit how much you can put. You can put 256 items, or as I said, 4 stacks. So let's say I'm over here and I want to access the toolbox, and it's not night. Just change that. So if I wanted to access the toolbox over here, I can do so. If I just press Alt, or there you go, you can click and hover over, and it will select the large cogwheel. So if I place the cogwheel down, notice how it restocks. But if I go out of range, the light goes off, the red light, and it doesn't restock. But as soon as I go back in range, it does restock. So it takes the items out of the toolbox and makes sure that my inventory has always got 32 items in it. Now you can change this config by going to the create config, going into server config, equipment, and scrolling all the way down to toolbox range, and you can change it to whatever you like. You can even change it to something ridiculous like 3000, but just make sure you don't lose your toolbox, because that would be the worst thing ever. Finally, use the create items. You've got things like the extendo grip and potato cannons. They're so fun. Just experiment with the create mod. That's what this last tip is all about. Just experimenting and having fun with create itself. The most important thing about create is it doesn't matter how you felt downloading this mod. It's worth it in the end. By the way, if you do not want to feel the pain with downloading mods, not just the create mod, check out this video. It is my best video on my channel so far, so I highly recommend it. And make sure you do all those things that YouTube likes. And I will see you in the next video. Have fun with the create mod, and bye for now.
Last time we talked, you had nothing to say.